Congratulations to President Obama on winning the Nobel Peace Prize for 2009. It's such a proud time to be an American, such an exciting, amazing time. Many people disagree with his policies, but everyone can agree that he is composed and reasoned and admired and speaks clearly the message that he wants to put out. It's a very proud time to be an American, and as the Nobel Committe described it, he speaks and shares the values of so many people around the globe that they feel that the message that he is putting out is resonating with the world in such a way that it's changing the international political scene through his speech and through his leadership as the American president. I believe we all have tremendous hope that he will be able to heal rifts that have been troublesome for long periods of time and put out potential fires that are threatening to cause our world much, much harm. So congratulations, President Obama. It's a very proud time. That said, the fact that the committee has decided that his work in the last year is worthy of a Nobel Peace Prize says not only wonderful things about President Obama and how he's being received throughout the world as a true leader, as someone who could possibly unite these challenges. It also speaks to the values that the Nobel Peace Prize honors. Right? If we say that peace is the goal towards which the Nobel Peace Prize moves, and therefore it can judge people, how much are they leading to peace? And if we look at the fact that they chose Barack Obama, that tells us what they believe will lead to peace. And what they believe will lead to peace is a more multilateral approach than we've been following for the last 8 years or perhaps before. And that by speaking to the nations and getting into talks with them, that will create an environment in which more peace happens than not happens. Now, it's interesting because that philosophy is one of the major political debates that's going on in our country and in our world right now. Is that kind of multilateralism, is that the best way to actually achieve peace? Or will that create more problems, right? This is, you could say, the question on the table. Obama and obviously the Nobel Committee and the people who support him and his policies say, yes, what we need to do is talk more, we need to fight less, we need to put out a vibe and a communication that says, look, world, we are looking to work with you rather than against you. Now, if you push too hard, we will work against you, but we would rather work with you, right? That perspective is shared by Obama and his supporters. The other perspective says that by doing that, we allow unpleasant powers to grow. And these unpleasant powers can then become more powerful and lead to less peace in the long run. And there's this clash of ideas which seems to be playing itself out around the globe as we have a political rhetoric of peace all the way around. Well, not all the way around, but mostly peace. Oh yes, we're peaceful. Oh, we would never be building weapons of mass destruction. Oh, we're not building nuclear weapons. Of course not. No, our rockets are designed to go to space. They're not designed to carry weapons to attack you, right? People speak the rhetoric of peace, and then the Realpolitik, what actually happens, there seems to be a lot more jockeying around and a lot more use of force. And the reality of these two worlds, right, the speaking that people engage in order to position themselves politically for their domestic base and for their international allies and opponents or potential partners, versus the ability to protect yourself so that it's not what you say, but what you do that communicates the message. Where should our boundaries be? What can you afford to do and what can you not afford to do? And if you push too hard, when will we push back, right? This kind of unspoken set of Realpolitik that's happening in response to the rhetoric. Now, this question of which one of these is going to be more effective is, for many people, an unanswered question. Where do you find that balance? It's interesting, the Nobel Peace Prize has spoken. They believe that the side of speaking is the place where the more you do that, the more you create the context in which peace is more likely to happen. And I just found that fascinating that in his first term, when he was going around speaking in Cairo, speaking in the various places that he's speaking, and giving the speeches that he's given that are watched around the world, that President Obama has so taken the stance that the Nobel Peace Committee, the Nobel Prize Committee, honors, that they're honoring him even though he's 1 year into what I think most of us believe will be an 8-year term. And I think that's just a wonderfully bold move on the part of the Nobel Committee to say, it's about what you've accomplished in the last year through your reaching out by presenting a pose, a stance of inclusion, a stance of reasonables, a stance of we can speak and we can work things out. Through that stance, that he's already created enough international goodwill that they were willing to give him the prize, no matter what happens in the course of the next, again, what I believe to be 7 years of his term. Perhaps that will be the incentive that inspires him to go further, and perhaps that prize will also gain the respect of people who are doubting him, and whose doubt might have led to try to undermine him in subtle ways for political purposes, for purposes of simple self-righteousness. Very exciting time. And I say again, congrats, President Obama. Well done. Just amazing.